providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Good morning. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing. That's right. We're joining you right here every Sunday morning. Thank you for joining us. If you're hearing us for the first time, Caregiver Crossing is a show brought to you by joyshouse, presented in partnership with Cardon and Associates. We're so thrilled that you're here. Thank you for joining us once again. This show is created for family caregivers and the people who love them. We're here every Sunday, as I mentioned, to discuss the highs, the lows, the joys, and the pains of caregiving. We are your hosts. My name is Candace Hadaball.
I'm Tina McIntosh, and Terry Stacy is normally with us, but she's out today, just, being great in the community because that's what she does. But she will be back with us next week.
She sure will. And if you enjoy the content that we share here with you each week, or have ideas of who you would like to see on the show or topics that you'd like for us to cover, you can call us at Joy's House at 317-254-0828, or you can email Tina at tina@joyshouse.org. You can also hear past episodes of the show at caregivercrossingradio.org.
All right, Candace, we're going to start by talking about this article that came out. I think it came out early in April of this year, 2023, and it was from Caregiver Action Network, written by David Braverman with Friends and Family Home Care Services, and it's about caregiver strain. So we talk about that a lot on here, the stress of being a caregiver. We know there are lots of beautiful things about it, too. We do talk
absolutely.
about that as well. This particular article is about caregiver strain, what is it and how we navigate it. And so if someone were to ask you, Candace, what caregiver strain means to you, what comes to mind?
I would think balance. And I know we've said it a lot here just on the past shows and just Joy's House in general, that there is no such thing as balance. Tina, you're great at putting that into words, but trying to remain true to who you are, but also taking on the needs and the wants of your loved one. And I can imagine with children, it'd be difficult to redefine yourself, but as you're caring for an aging loved one who already has their personality and routines, it's probably that much harder.
Yeah. And, we talk about burnout. So caregiver strain just kind of comes naturally along in the process. And then burnout, when you really hit that point where sometimes it's hard to go back, when somebody gets to that burnout stage. And so this article talks about the causes of caregiver strain. And we want to share some of that with you. When I read it in advance, Candace, it rings so true. So true. So lack of financial resources. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That alone is, we all know that that's a point in any kind of life event or relationship. Too many overlapping responsibilities. Can I just tell you, as I was walking into studio today, I was thinking about this because I haven't seen most of our coworkers since my dad passed away. We'll tell you now, we're going to talk about that later here in the program. And so if that is a triggering thing for you to hear about end of life and death, then you might want to tune out in the middle of the show. But I was walking and thinking how many people want and need something from me in my life right now. And just even this morning.
Yeah.
And it almost stifled me in the parking lot. I just thought, I'm so excited to come in studio, turn off my phone, be here and be present with you. And so I'm feeling that.
So what did you do in that moment when that hit you? How did you work through it?
Okay, so I'm someone who's had anxiety issues my entire life. Fourth grade, put in Riley Hospital for panic disorder, and have really had issues my entire life, studied it in college to kind of get as much hold on it as I can. And I just stopped myself for just a second. I stopped myself and I just kind of I literally shook it off. I just kind of shook it off in the parking lot and thought, I don't need to be anywhere than where I'm walking in, which is with you and all of you who are listening. This is where I need to be right now.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad I'm here too.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
I miss your face.
I miss your face too. It's nice to be back. So there are other causes of caregiver strain as well. I don't know if you have that list in front of you, if any of them spoke to you.
Yeah, lack of social interaction with others. We've also talked about on the show in the past, as we get further into our caregiving journey, sometimes our friend circle shrink, whether that's because they just can't understand you anymore, what you're going through, or they have their own responsibilities and you just have to kind of pour into what they're going through. they shrink. And we always encourage
And as you get older, I mean, truly, just as we get older, that happens too. But
Doug and I were just, and Doug is my husband for everyone that doesn't know yet. We are searching for our tribe, like our adult tribe, like not the friends that we've had since elementary school or church forever, but people that match who we are now as adults and kind of where we are in life. And that's hard. I can't imagine adding on top of that, caring for a loved one.
so you say this. I know that at the end of our time here in the show today, we're going to wrap up some of the article. Am I right? And that, but there was one thing I wrote down, and it has to do with that very thing. So I wrote down, let me find my notes. Aha. So here is some advice for people who are caregiving. I highly suggest that early on, and I think this goes for any relationship and phase in life, find out who that tribe is. Who are your people? Communicate it with them. So I think it's weird, kind of, but kind of not, like to come to someone and say, hey, I'm going through this with my blank, with my husband, for me, with my dad recently, whatever it is, and saying, I need a safe place to feel, to be, to vent, to cry, to be confused or angry. Like, I need a safe place. So is it okay if I call you throughout and just have a moment? You'd be surprised how many people step up. But the other thing I wrote down was not only identifying them and communicating, but add and delete them as needed. And I don't know about you.
Please and thank you. I give you permission to delete me if I'm no longer serving your needs or your wants. That's fine. But know that if it comes to it, I'm going to have to do the same.
It's true, isn't it? I mean, but we don't feel permission to do that. We think, oh, we've had somebody in our life. They have to stay there until the day we draw our last breath. And I think it's ridiculous. I mean,
it's tiring. It's tiring.
It's not feasible. There are people that I loved in my 20s or 30s or 40s that in my 50s, I don't really like them that much anymore. And they don't really like me. And that's okay.
It's fair.
But there's something in us that hurts when that happens. And so I just want to give listeners permission to add and delete. And you can just stop the relationship. You don't have to be rude or mean. You can slowly back your way out if there are other dominoes that will fall as a result. But I think we need to give ourselves permission to add and delete friends as needed.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So how do we recognize caregiver strain? Let's touch on that for a second.
I mean, I feel like, girl, I'm going through it right now. I don't know. You tell me.
How do you feel? Tired? Are you irritable? Are you?
No.
You're not irritable?
I'm kidding. I was trying to be irritable when I said it. I will tell you, I looked at this list, and we're going to have to take a break here in a minute and circle back to this article. I looked at this list, and I was like, shoot. I mean, check. A lot of these things
I want to talk
here.
about that.
So I don't want to talk about it, but I will. I will when we come back.
Much.
I know. On this next segment, again, might be a little triggering if you don't like talking about end of life issues or death and dying. You might want to just tune out for the next half an hour and then come back. All right.
I like that.
All right. So coming up next, we're going to talk with End of Life Doula Abby Vincent and talk about the program that's starting at Joy's house. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you by Joy's House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest and more than 40 years of senior living experience, Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized care. Visit cardon.us for more information and to find a community near you. Stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing after the break.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. Thank you for sticking around and joining us. We're so glad that you decided to stay with us. This is going to be a great segment. I do want to kind of put a warning out there for anyone that has recently had a loss or is probably coming up on experiencing a loss here soon. We will be talking with Tina about the End of Life program and losing her father here in just this past week, actually. So warning for anyone, you can kind of turn us down for a couple segments and join us back here in the bottom of the show and for the fourth segment. But joining us now is Abby Vincent. She is new to the Joy's House staff, but she is a licensed clinical social worker and is kind of taking over our End of Life Doula program and helping us get it up and running. So I'm going to actually hand it off to Tina and Abby here for the next few minutes, and we're just going to run through this.
Well, first of all,
Tina, take your time.
I wanted to clap. Like,
We can do that.
Abby's here. Yeah. And I want to acknowledge before we start talking about End of Life Doula program and what that means, Abby, and what we're building here at Joy's House, that we recognize not everyone is as comfortable as we are at talking about end of life issues.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. It's also okay for us to be comfortable about it.
That's right.
Doesn't mean we don't get sad or confused or any of the things. So when we say end of life doula, what in the world does that mean?
Right. That's such a good question. One of our favorite people, Tina and I both went through the training with Alua Arthur, who hosted the Going with Grace training program. And we both loved it so much.
And loved her. Alua, if you're listening, you're our friend. You just don't know it yet. But I swear you're going to love us.
I know, you really are. And so I think she describes it the best in just in really simple terms that people can understand. So an end-of-life doula, and also sometimes referred to as a death doula, is someone who provides non-medical care and support to the dying person and family, essentially walking people through the end of their life. And so it can mean varying things depending on the person's situation. But a lot of it means being a calm, grounding presence, a really good listener, being open to whatever that person is experiencing and going through, and whatever type of support that the family needs in that moment, and the family and the dying individual.
And it is about, how do you want to die?
Absolutely.
As someone who, for those of you who don't know, I've had cancer twice. My husband's had cancer twice. We'll live with leukemia until the day he dies. For us, we can talk about end of life things because we've faced death a number of times collectively. If I were terminal, I'm good. He's good. For the most part, we're good. But if we were terminal, it would be about Abby helping us figure out how we want to die. What's that ideal death? Like, where is it? What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you feel?
Who's there? Yes. Who's there with you?
Who's not there with you?
Who's not there with you? That's right. Who's not there with you?
And it's also about, how do you want to live until that day arrives? And so, one of the things, and Candace and I have talked about this on this show forever, when we lose purpose in life, we lose the desire and the will to live. And so how does that look when we're working with somebody through End of Life Doula program? How might that look for them?
Yeah, I love that question. And that makes me think about what we've adopted as what's important and valuable to us, the idea of living with purpose and dying with peace.
Okay, say that again. Living
with purpose, dying with peace.
Like, just hearing those words makes me lean into it.
Me too.
And be like, I'm behind that.
Me too. Because when we think about death, and we think about coming to terms with our own death, it's really about how we spent our life and how we've lived our life. And so part of the doula work, it could be working with an individual about creating legacy. So it could be ways that they want to be remembered. Could be through doing a life review and journaling with that individual. It could be, one of the things I learned about recently was a means of legacy planning is gathering an item from the person's home. So the doula would be working at the home, working with the dying individual. They would go through the home and choose different objects that person wanted to pass on to their family members. And so once they've chosen those objects and identified the family members, we would work with that person to write a card. And then we would have a wrapping day where we would sit and wrap the gifts. And then the individual would decide, would they like to give them to their family now, or would they like to wait until after they've died? And as a way of, this is how I want to be remembered, and this is the gift I want to give you.
So I want to tell you a story about my dad has, if you've listened to Caregiver Crossing for a long time, you know that we've been through like 3 or 4 near-death experiences with my dad. He finally passed away on May 19th, and my brother and sister and I were there by his bedside. It was incredibly beautiful, I hope for all of us. I know for my siblings and me. That night after he passed, which I will say there's a bit of a walking around like, my dad's dead. I mean, like, now what do we do? And then we gathered at my house for pizza and drinks. Like, but that's what we did. And ironically, for some drinks, my dad was a lifelong alcoholic. And so that was a little, at the moment, I was like, is this wrong? But, he died at 5 o'clock and we decided it was 5 o'clock somewhere and we went with it,
Yeah.
And so we're gathered around the dining room table and my husband's with us and we're a few drinks in. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I remembered that when we cleared out his apartment, we found a letter from our dad. And on the outside of the envelope, hold on, I'm going to grab it.
I can't wait to see it.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. On the outside of this envelope, it says, in case of death, give to my children. And it has our names on it. And so I said, we've got to lower our expectations. This could be like his not famous pizza, recipe. Like, we don't know what we're getting into here. Because for us, we're expecting some beautiful letter of resolution and, something huge. And it was huge.
Was it?
I mean, it starts with our names in my dad's handwriting.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm showing them now. And
that is beautiful, Tina.
And then he starts with, in the event you are reading this, I will have crossed to the other side. Please don't worry, because I'm in a beautiful place with a lot of wonderful friends. And then it goes on about his love for us. It goes on about, he apologized for some things, some things that he had misstepped in life and with his drinking specifically. And I tell you what, we sat there and cried and laughed and played euchre and ate pizza and drank some good tequila. Like,
I love this so much.
It was perfect. And,
perfect.
I think somebody had said to me, and not meaning to be rude, but like, did you feel any guilt over those moments? And I was like, no. I mean, no, it's exactly as it should have been. And I think part of what we're doing with our doula program is we're realizing in our culture, we only know pretty much one way to die. Mm-hmm. You die, you have a funeral, you're put in the ground or cremated, you move on. Mm-hmm. The services happen when you're gone. And when we come back in this next segment, I want to talk about some of the things we're going to be doing with the living, because there's a lot of stuff to do with the living. Like you talking about this wrapping party. Mm-hmm. Why don't we do that? Why are we not bringing people into the studio? And I know we're going to answer questions about their life, record their voice.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree.
I think about your family when you're gone. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to hear your voice talking to them, right? Mm-hmm. Stories about your childhood. Mm-hmm. So
that can be another part of it too, with the legacy planning, our video recordings, stories, childhood stories.
Yes.
The idea of doing a life review and writing all of that down for your family.
In our culture, in the United States, we don't like to talk about death and dying.
No, we sure don't.
Like somebody right now is like, crap, I can't get to the radio dial to turn them down. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, maybe you're here for a reason. And so hear us out here. But why is it, do you think, that we are so afraid to talk about it?
I think there's just a general fear around dying. We don't want to lose people we love. And it's hard to imagine that, when it happens to somebody, to one of our close friends, if they lose a spouse or a family member or somebody, we automatically think, gosh, I can't imagine what they're going through. And then at the same time too, if you let yourself imagine it for a little bit, that it's painful. And so death is hard to talk about. And some things that are important in thinking about death education is, with education and knowledge, that helps to decrease fear.
Yes. And just saying it out loud, right? Like that's one of, now I do want to say, we're not going to be calling ourselves death doulas at Joy's house, although that's a common thing. I have slipped and said it a few times.
I know, right? Because it kind of flows. Yet it's kind of a difficult term too at the same time. So
yeah, but we want to normalize talking about death and dying and living until you die. So again, our tagline of living with purpose, dying with peace, I think we can all learn from that. And, our culture is so interesting on how we put ourselves in a box, whether it's a big box as a casket or a little box with our ashes, and we kind of set that off to the side, right?
That's right.
And we don't always do a lot other than miss that person. There are some other cultures we learned about in our training. I think it's Indonesia, where they wrap the person's body.
Right.
And then they take them for, I think it's a year. They take them to celebrations.
Yes. There's a lot of ritual and ceremony that happens in other cultures that doesn't necessarily happen here.
Yeah, I'm glad they do that. I'm glad that works for them. I don't want to do that.
I know, that's right. That's right. The other idea is talking about death from a younger age helps us normalize it as a part of life. We all will die at some point.
Yes.
And talking about it doesn't mean that it's going to happen tomorrow. Talking about it only helps us feel a part of a part of the larger community. It helps us focus on how we live. Thinking about and talking about death more personally. We talked about this with some other folks who work in the death and dying space. It helps me, at least, live with more gratitude and intention every day. And so talking about death and dying can help normalize that in our community.
All right, so I'm going to talk about that for a minute. So Abby is a licensed clinical social worker. Did I say that the right way? Yeah,
yes.
LCSW.
Yep.
So put on your LCSW hat for a minute. As my dad was dying, I contacted that very day each of my kids who are 20, 18, and 14 and said, Papa is actively dying. Because one of the things we've learned through this program, Abby, is to look for the breathing and the way the eyes. I mean, there is a real defined way that someone looks when they're dying, not a sudden death.
Right.
And so we were able to pinpoint, like, he is actively dying probably before the end of the day. So if you want to come and see Papa one more time, this is the moment to do that.
Right.
One of my kids lives in North Carolina. She was not able. My son is here in town. He couldn't get to the house, but wanted to see him, so we FaceTimed. And I saw my dad smile.
Wonderful.
Webster said, Papa, I'm graduating high school. And I saw my dad smile in his eyes, the corner of his eyes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I said, Papa smiled. And then my 14-year-old wanted to be with us. And so we sent someone to get her and bring her. And in my head for just a minute, I questioned that decision. And wondered, should she be coming or should she not? And I thought, well, this is silly. She wants to be here.
Yeah.
And she did. And she held his hand and she said, I love you. And you could barely make it out, but he said, I know. And then I said, just wait. And she sat there and it was like 30 seconds went by and he muttered, I love you. And those are the last words I ever heard him say.
That is so beautiful, Tina. And I think that is a beautiful gift for her to carry with her for the rest of her life. Her experience with death was her grandfather surrounded by the people he loved, and she was able to be there and say those words to him. And that visual and that feeling that she had from that experience will affect how she sees death in a positive way. That this is a natural part of life.
It is. And at the same time, understand that if you can't come or don't want to hold a hand or don't want to be there, that's okay too.
That's right.
And if my youngest wanted to go back to school, it was field day.
Yeah.
And I said, go back and have no guilt. He would want you to be there having fun and enjoying the rest of your day and being surrounded by your friends, So I agree with you. Sometimes I wonder if I'm too open with the conversations I have with the kids. I mean, even our 3-year-old niece is living with us right now. And I just said, Aunt Tina might be sad. I might cry. And if I do, just give me a big hug. And she said, why? And I said, my dad died.
I think that's perfect, Tina. We need to give kids language.
Right,
you need to give them the language to use, the feelings that surround that. And, often a child's first experiences with death are a pet.
Yes.
Or a grandparent. And so role modeling from the adults in their world helps them learn how to cope and to feel about those situations. So I think that's wonderful that you're giving your 3-year-old niece the words and the feelings around that.
So here's another thing is people expect when you are loving someone, or if you are the person who is terminal, and so death is coming sooner rather than later, I hear people say all the time, like, how are you doing? And I have a thought behind that. Do you have any recommendations? Do you want to hear?
Yeah, tell me. I love your thoughts.
So first of all, when people say now to me, like, how are you doing? Or how are your siblings? Or how are your kids? I always say we're appropriate. I know, Candace, you heard us when we were going through cancers, we'd say the same things. I think we're appropriate. But I've found now, as the primary caregiver, for my dad. And when people ask that directly of me, I will say, in this very moment, I'm feeling whatever the word is.
That's great.
And my whole point is I might feel differently in 7 minutes or by this evening. So if Candace sees me cry and Abby, you see me happy, it doesn't mean that I'm not sad or I'm in denial,
Yeah.
It just means at that moment, that's how I'm feeling. And I wish that we would give ourselves that permission to just feel however it is right now.
Absolutely. And the fact that we can hold two competing emotions at one time.
Okay, can Abby stay with us, Candace, for the fourth segment?
I wish you would. Will you stay?
Sure. Yeah,
Good.
I'd love to.
Awesome.
All
Love
right.
it. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you by Joy's House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest and more than 40 years of senior living experience, Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized care. Visit cardon.us for more information and to find a community near you. Stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after the break. Sure. Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. We are in the final segment of the show. Thank you for sticking around with us. We are going to continue our End-of-Life Doula conversation for just a little while longer. So as I mentioned at the top of the second segment, if it's going to be too much for you, feel free to step away and we will catch you right back here next Sunday morning.
Yeah, so we're talking about End-of-Life Doula program. Joy's House is creating really two things that have to do with end-of-life doulas. One, an end-of-life doula program, so we can work with you if you are someone who's been diagnosed with a terminal illness and you want somebody to walk that journey with you and help you not only design how you would like to die, ideally, but how you want to live until that day comes. And then we're also designing another part underneath that program where we will bring like-minded people together, particularly doulas in the state of Indiana. So if you are an end-of-life doula or you know somebody who is, please have them reach out to me, tina@joyshouse.org, and we would love to know you and or them as well. Abby Vincent has stayed in studio with us because we begged her. Glad that you're
I'm so
here.
happy to be here.
So there's a lot that we haven't talked about yet when it comes to end-of-life doulas. What is it, Abby, that you're like, oh, before we end today's show, we have to talk about this?
Mm-hmm. One thing I just want to make sure that comes across from a doula's role, some people might say, well, that kind of sounds like hospice. So I just wanted to mention one thing that's really important to us at Joy's House is to work with different hospice organizations. And we almost see an end-of-life doula as kind of an extension of a hospice organization, somebody that has a different set of time to spend with that individual and the caregivers. It might even be the doula might even be working with the family before they go on hospice.
Yes.
And might have some history and some information that would be really valuable for the hospice team. And so we see ourselves as a partner with hospice organizations, and we're working hard to make those connections.
Yeah. So if you work or volunteer with the hospice as well, email me at tina@joyshouse.org because we'd like to be in contact with them. I can tell you from my recent situation with my father, we worked with his long-term care facility into a hospital for 10 days, worked with the palliative care team at the hospital, into Abby Hunt Bryce, which if you don't know them as a hospice home, fantastic, and work with people who typically don't have the means to have a physical address. So we worked with the folks at the hospice home, Abby Hunt Bryce, and we worked with the folks at hospice. All right. So there are a lot of people in there, right? I said more than once to my sister, this is why we need an end-of-life doula.
Right.
And it should have started a year ago when I know my dad was failing in health. And so if an end-of-life doula would have been there, he or she, I'm going to say she just to make this easy on myself, I think would have helped us make decisions that were in his best interest.
That's right.
Not for everybody else, right? But for him.
Yeah.
Help create what that legacy looked like even more. I think Abby, I look at you, would have helped make the phone calls. He had a cremation already planned, but the policy had expired. Make the phone calls to life insurance, the banks.
All those logistical
the
things that
debtors,
are
like,
overwhelming to the family.
Terrible. We sat in a hospital when our time and attention should have been with our father, making phone call after phone call because the bills that were piling up or all the things that were happening that we knew we had to arrange for the future. You would have done that for us.
Right.
You would have been the voice of reason about what's next, and then getting him logistically there so we could have been daughters.
Been there with him as his daughters.
Right.
That's right.
Getting his room set up, getting, his refrigerator stocked, like all of the things. And then walking that with us about, and not necessarily being by our side at every point, right? But giving us a safe place to learn and empowering us. These are the things to look for.
That's right. And supporting and educating the family about what the death process is like and empowering you to feel prepared for that. Yeah. A lot of that, some of our education in this role comes from Barbara Carnes, who is a longtime hospice nurse. Anyone that works in hospice knows who she is. And she wrote this great little 14-page booklet called Gone From My Sight to help families prepare. And she talks about neutralizing the fear that families experience and the dying individual experiences about the end of their life and how valuable that can be. Education is so important, and that's part of the doula role as well.
I'm zipping into my planner because I also am carrying this. So
That's
not just my father's letter.
I've given that out. I have also given that out.
We need to have a bunch of these copies. $14 on Amazon.
That's on my agenda to talk to you.
Is that right?
Actually,
I think we should just do that.
I know.
This is actually Gone From My Sight, the dying experience that Abby's talking about with Barbara Carnes. It tells you what to expect 1 to 3 months out, a few weeks out, a couple of days out, hours out. And I'm telling you, watching my father pass as someone who's trained as an end-of-life doula, and I've been with other people when they've died, watching it as his daughter and from this perspective was fascinating. And we knew it was coming. We really knew it was coming because of Gone From My Sight. It's wonderful.
And so when a person is in that transition period and they're agitated and their breathing changes and all of that, you as his family are prepared. And you say, oh yeah, remember when Abby and I spoke about this? This is what's happening with the breathing.
Yes.
This is why he's agitated.
Abby, what excites you most about this program? We have about a minute left.
Okay. Gosh, so much excites me.
Well, thanks
Tina.
for being here. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. Go on.
Let me just cut you off. Yeah, no, it's all good. I am so excited to be a part of this program, and the idea of helping people walk through this process with their loved ones and being a part of that. I'm just really excited. I'm excited to be a part of Joy's house.
We're thrilled to have you. And I have to tell you, everybody who's met you has said Abby has such a calming presence. I know that listeners can hear it, through the speakers.
Thanks,
and what you are going to do to breathe life into this End-of-Life Doula program and cohort for people who are in the industry, I'm beyond excited about it.
I am too.
Candace, anything on your mind about this topic? I mean, it's different.
No, I think you ladies have covered it beautifully. But earlier in the show, we mentioned those legacy recordings. And if anyone is willing to be our guinea pig, give us a call. You can email Tina at joyshouse.org, or you can call us at 317-254-0828. That's definitely something we want to start offering, and we need someone to practice on.
Oh, I mean, the phone will ring off the hook, or the emails will come in, or whatever.
Oh, that sounds so great.
And also, as we close the show here, that, you can contact me about anything. We're back. I mean, it's been a minute since we've been on radio. We were podcasting during, the pandemic. And so, email me, Tina at joyshouse.org.
And we want to thank our sponsors, Cardone & Associates, 20 communities owned, operated, and managed in the Midwest. Cardone & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized care. Until next time, take good care of each other.